Greetings, Rotary family. Chris Etienne here. It has been a great couple of months engaging and learning from our Rotary members throughout zones 28 and 32 of all the wonderful work you're doing in your communities and around the world. So the month of September is Basic Education and Literacy Month. And why is supporting education important? Well, first of all, supporting education is one of our Rotary Foundation's 7 areas of focus. And believe it or not, 17% of the world's adult population is illiterate. So it is our goal to support education and literacy throughout the world for children and for adults. I am excited that this month I have 2 guests with me, Edith and Daryl Martin. Edith and Daryl, thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
I've invited Edith and Daryl to share a little bit about their story, having been involved with an education project for a number of years. So Edith and Daryl, I just have a few questions that I'd like to ask you today. I understand that you've been involved with an education program in Mexico. I wonder if you could share a little bit about it.
Yeah, that project is called Project Amigo. And we've been going to Project Amigo since 2008. I think all Rotarians would love to do an international project, and this was our first opportunity to do that. And it's actually one of the easiest ways to do it because they pick you up at the airport, they drop you off at the end, they take care of you in between. You have comfortable accommodations, and they feed you with real Mexican food made by ladies in the village that do that very well. It was started about 40 years ago by a couple. Ted Rose actually loved volcanoes, and there's a volcano outside of where the headquarters is, a few miles out of town. And he got lost, and he got stuck in Cofradia, in this little village. And as he's waiting for the bus, he noticed kids coming by that weren't unhappy at all, but they had nothing. He could tell they had really very little. Weren't going to school. Had nothing to play with, all of those kind of things. So him and his wife got very interested in this, and they started going down there on a regular basis. And it eventually became a full-time thing where they sold their business in California, and they lived down there and continue to live down there actually for many, many years.
Sounds like a great program, and what a way to change lives and improve lives for children in Mexico. How would the two of you describe the impact that you think this program has had on the children in that area?
Well, I think the significant focus on literacy has been the key to the success of the whole program. Originally, Ted and Susan would buy books and bring books down in Spanish to Cofradia. The children only had one book at home, and that was usually the Bible. And the other book would be the textbook they have at school. And there was no free reading books. The schools even didn't have any libraries or books that had fun reading books that would inspire kids to want to learn to read. So the literacy project got started by really the help of Rotary Foundation matching grants to provide books for these. They initially put in 150 mini libraries with 100 books on little bookshelves, and these were delivered. Volunteers would deliver them to the schools, and the kids would take these books off the bookshelf, and they would actually read to us, and we would just encourage them as they were reading.
Even though we don't speak Spanish, but you can tell how well a child reads even though you don't understand the language.
What a wonderful program that has touched so many lives already over the years. And it's incredible to hear your stories about the impact it's had on these children, but also the long-term impact for them and their families. Very rewarding. I have one last question for you today. I wonder if there might be volunteer opportunities for our members in Rotary that you could share about Project Amigo.
Well, as Daryl mentioned, Project Amigo is the easiest way to do an international project. And you literally, so we've got service weeks that happen throughout the year, and they each have a different theme. And one, for example, focusing on English tutoring, where you actually go and work one-on-one with students. You have a professional that guides us through the process. You don't have to be a teacher, right? It's just working with these kids. Literacy and culture, of course, is all about books, community service, the swim week. There's a Christmas fiesta week. You can go and learn how to cook Mexican food. So the service weeks have the work component, and it's also learning about the Mexican culture and experiencing and having activities and experiences in the Mexican culture. So we're having a Canadian week in February of 2025 that we're encouraging a few people from different Rotary clubs and friends to come and work together to experience the magic of Rotary at work. So again, for more information, Project Amigo, you can Google Project Amigo, and there's Project Amigo Canada Society. We're both past presidents of that society and continuing to serve on the board.
That's great. Thank you, Edith and Daryl, so much for sharing. Edith and Daryl reside in St. Albert, Alberta, and they're both members of the Rotary Club of Edmonton Northeast. Edith and Daryl, thank you for your wonderful work with Project Amigo and for sharing your story with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It's been our pleasure.